Have you ever had somebody come up to you and say, "Do you think it's too loud in here? I can't hear very well. The drums are too loud, or the keyboard's too loud, or this is too loud. I can't hear the vocals." Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. My name is Rob. Today we're going to be talking about how loud is too loud in your church services. Have you ever had somebody come up to you and say, "Do you think it's too loud in here?" Or maybe you've had someone come up and say, "I can't hear very well. I just can't hear what you're saying. The drums are too loud, or the keyboard's too loud, or this is too loud. I can't hear the vocals very well." These are some of the complaints that you might hear from people in your church about your sound. So, something that we need to look at is number one, are we being too loud? I think that's a good thing to ask yourself. If people are telling you, the music's too loud, it could just be too loud. But it may be a frequency. It may not be that we're operating too loud. It may be that we have a frequency in there that needs to be cut. And that's what I found out at our church a while back. I had a gentleman come to me. He's like, can we just turn it down just a little bit? It's just a little bit loud. I'm trying to have conversation before service. And I'm like, yeah, I totally understand what you're saying. And we try to monitor that and try to keep it, right there on the edge of where it's not too loud, but yet it's not like just a boring, real low mix either, but it's lively. And so I told my son the other day, I'm like, hey, let's go to the high mids and just crank it down a little bit, really, really lower it down quite a bit and cut those out. And when he done that, what was happening was the singers in these in the music that were just streaming were just extremely loud, and it was just that frequency was just harsh. And so we dropped that frequency out, and immediately the sound sounded a lot quieter, but it wasn't. And that's something that we really need to do, is to get a sound meter, a decibel meter. I'll put some links in the description to a few that we're looking at, but that's something that we really need to purchase. And I'd kind of like to have one, and I haven't found one yet that I'm really looking for. They have hundreds of them out there, but what I would love to be able to do is to set one of them up. I found one company that does this, and I haven't got a response back from them yet. But I would love to set one up near the front, maybe on the left side, one near the front on the right side, and then one in the back, and have all of them just read what they're metering, so our sound tech can know, all right, the left side and the right side are off from each other, or maybe they're right on, but they're really loud. But back here we're good. So it gives the sound tech a good idea, and a good idea of how loud it is in other areas of the room. Because in our room, when you walk back to the sound booth, it sounds really good. But when you walk nearer to the stage, it gets louder. And so there's like a 6 to 7 decibel difference in our room, which is we're not a real big room, and maybe that's why, because we do have 3 speakers that are flown, and it can be pretty loud in there at times. But then when you walk to the back of the room, which is where the speakers are actually aimed at the back of the room, it sounds really good. It's mixed well, and it sounds good. But when you walk up nearer to the front, it sounds just loud. And I believe that frequency has helped out. We went and dropped that high mid, and it's helped out a lot, I've noticed. But I think sometimes what we have to do as a church, when somebody says it's too loud, we have to listen to them. Like, okay, there's something that's too loud to this person or to these people, and we need to figure out what it is. Is it our volume, or is it a frequency? And get a decibel reader and take those things seriously, because we don't want to be blasting people out where they can't have conversation. But yet at the same time, especially like at the altar service, we want our music to be loud enough to where When people are praying at the altar, or maybe they're coming and they're talking about something that they're going through with the person that's going to be praying with them, we don't want everybody to be hearing that. We want the music to be over top of them. And so there's that give and take. There's that touchy area where it's like we want to be loud, but we don't want to be too loud. So how I responded to this was just I listened to the first time. I just listened to him, and I told him, said, "Yeah, we'll turn it. We'll take a look at it and see where it needs to be and what we need to do." And so he come to me, thanked me. He noticed a big difference the next Sunday. It was down a little bit. But then, like the next Sunday, it did get kind of edged back up a little bit on that pre-service music. And he's like, "Man, do you think it's just a little bit loud?" But then in that moment, I was standing there at the back of the sound booth. I'm like, "It sounds really good back here. It's not too loud. We can talk and have a discussion, but it's not overly loud." So as we walked around the sanctuary and found out, yeah, it is a little louder up here. The thing that helped us was cutting that frequency. And what I've noticed too is, with our room, it's very lively. We really need some sound treatment. So that's something that I would recommend to you guys as well, is to get some sound treatment. Start someplace. If you don't have anything, if you're like us, we just have to start. We just have to start getting some treatment, put it on the walls. I'd love to get a professional to come in and see what we need to do. But with our room and with a lot of church sanctuaries, they weren't built with sound in mind. They were built they look really nice. They're a lot of peaks and a lot of just a lot of area for sound to bounce around. And what do we do with those spaces? We can't really put a cloud up there that's going to help, because then the architecture of the building it's not going to allow it. And the church people aren't going to allow that, because it's going to look ugly, being in the way of the church sanctuary architecture. So what do we do? I think we have to start somewhere. And with us, we're looking at doing some more renovations in the sanctuary. We've been going, we've moved our stage to another area of the sanctuary and turned it around. And as of right now, our sound booth is kind of tucked back away into it's not really a closet. We took the wall down, most of the wall down, but it's still kind of tucked back away a little bit. And we're getting ready to bring that out in the front and do a little bit of renovations in the entrance of the sanctuary. And that's going to move our sound booth in the center, which is going to help us out a lot. So we haven't really done any soundproofing or sound treatment, not proofing, but sound treatment yet. But one other thing that will really help you out with when someone says, "Is it too loud?" Or they're telling you that it's too loud, is your drums in an enclosure? Are they just out? Are you using electronic drums or acoustic drums? Because everything has to come up above that drum set. So if you are in a small building and someone's telling you, "Man, it's just the worship is great, but it's just too loud in here," that's one thing you need to look at, is your drum set, because that's going to set the sound level for everything else. We got to bring everything else up to where the sound level is there. Or if you're using amplifiers on your stage, if you're using amps on the stage, sometimes they have to get to a certain level, many times, to reach the tone that your guitarist really wants, or that sounds really good. And so because you're at a higher level, everything else has to come up to it. So when you go over and you turn that amplifier down, it's not going to give the tone that is being desired. So we take the amplifiers off the stage and run either direct, or just take them off the stage and put them backstage, and find a creative way to amp, to still amp your guitar, but to mic that amp, put it behind the stage or something, to where you're not creating this loud noise. But for us, it was a pre-service music that people was telling us, "Man, it's just too loud in here." And so far, for us, just turning that frequency down, and I can't remember the number of it. I'm not really not back here at the sound booth, at the sound tech, as a sound tech. So I'm not looking at the boards. I can't remember what number frequency that was, but I know it was the high mids, and we just turned it down, sweeped it down a good little bit, and it pretty much took care of it. So that may be something that you want to take a look at on your board. We did not do that on the main. On our mains, we only done it on the computer channel, so it didn't affect anything else, but it just affected the streaming music that we're streaming from YouTube or Spotify or wherever you stream your music from. So that's something that you may want to try. Other than that, sometimes it is just the placement of your speakers. Sometimes it's where people are sitting, or where if they're right in front of a sub and they're like, "Man, these subs are really kicking." Well, yeah, they are. You're right in front of them. Why don't you move somewhere else to where you're getting a good mix? If that sub is bothering you, move somewhere. So sometimes it's something like that too. But you can't exactly be rude to someone and say, "Well, move." But you want to. So try to work with people and figure out what is it that's too loud for them. Because if you have one or two or three people that's telling you, I can't hear very well, or it's too loud in here, but everybody else is not having a problem with it, then it's probably something with the frequency with those individuals. And be nice, be courteous, and try to assist them in figuring out what is it. Maybe tell them to move to a different area of the sanctuary. Maybe that will help them. Maybe there's a frequency in that area, because we aren't here to to argue with people or to say that we're right or they're wrong or vice versa or whatever. We're here to lead people in worship. And if during worship time or even pre-service, if they're getting aggravated because they can't hear each other speak, or they're getting aggravated because it's just they feel like it's too loud, that's going to prevent them from worshiping. And we don't want to do that. We want to create an environment where people want to worship, where they come together and we worship the Lord together in unity. So we do want to take those complaints and those things. We do want to take that into consideration and see what's going on. And if it's during worship and it's like the keyboard or something like that, again, look at your frequencies. And sometimes it's just look at your mix engineer, look at your tech, and maybe they need a little bit of training. Maybe there's sometimes there's a family member that is on the platform that they don't even realize they're doing this, but they turn that person up higher than anyone else because they want to be able to hear what that person's doing. And if that's the case, be gentle with this, but let them know that you cannot do that. You have to mix it properly. You can't mix it to your taste or to your preference of wanting to hear. Like I'm a guitarist and I love to hear the electric guitar. So sometimes where I'm sitting, because we have it right now, it's panned a little bit to the left side of the sanctuary, just because that's where he stands. And I get what they're going for, but if I'm ever off the stage and I'm sitting over on the right hand side, I can't hear it as well as I want to. But I'm a guitarist and I want to hear that guitar. So if I was mixing, it's a good possibility that if I'm not really paying attention to what I'm doing, I might turn the guitar up a little bit more than what it should be because I want to hear it. And we have to make sure as a mixing technician that we're not doing that. We want to make sure that we are mixing it properly. The vocals are the main thing that we want to hear in a church setting. And really, I think any setting. Anytime I went to a concert and I can't hear the vocals, I'm disappointed because I don't want the music to drown out what the singer's saying. And a lot of times that happens. Many times that happens in our church services. And usually if our drums are not in an enclosure, it happens a lot there. So this is something that we, as especially small churches, we need to work on, is bringing our sound, getting our sound under control and getting it mixed properly. So number one, if it's pre-service music, things like that, I would say check your frequency and get us a decibel meter and see, is it really too loud? You can look up all the different where you should be at in a church environment or in a concert environment and compare that. I'm not going to throw out any numbers because as soon as I do, it's going to be wrong. I haven't looked at it here recently. I know we around 85 to 90 is a pretty good number. You go above that, you're starting getting a little bit high. But look up some numbers. What does OSHA recommend for like 30 minutes, 2 hours, something like that, and try to be below that. Don't feel like you are at a rock concert and you want to be really high and real. I get it. We want to be energetic. We want to be exciting, and we want to bring excitement to the congregation to where they will worship with us, but we don't want to overdo it to where we are shoving them out the door with a wall of sound coming at them that they can't join with us. And there's a lot of people that say, and I tend to agree with them, they like to hear the congregation sing. And I 100% agree. If you're using wedges, sometimes that's hard because you have a wall of sound coming at you. If you're using in-ears, it's a little hard because you're isolated. But there are times I'll just pull my in-ears out and listen to the congregation. And if I can hear them singing, especially over top of the music, I know that we're not too loud at that point. But there are times when the music is just going, and I understand it can get loud. But that's something that we as sound techs, we do need to watch. As worship leaders, we do need to watch that and take those. I don't want to say they're complaints. Maybe some of them are complaints, but take that feedback to heart and look into it and see, are we being too loud? What's the level where we need to be? Provide your guys with the tools, and that's where I'm at. That's where I'm at right now. Is I'm looking for what tools we need to get to make sure that we are at the decibel level that we need to be, and not just what's comfortable to my ears, but what is kind of a good general set point, and let's monitor it from that. So guys, take that feedback to heart and really listen to what your people are saying, and do some research to see what can I do to make it sound the best that it can, and not to run people out of here with a loud sound, or sometimes a not very well mixed sound. We could have the keyboard way too loud and it's drowning everything else out, and it just sounds bad because one thing is too loud where everything else isn't loud enough. So there's all kind of different variables that gets thrown into this. But with our sound, we do need to do the very best that we can and try to maintain a proper sound level and watch those frequencies. The frequencies are a big thing. I think if we drop some of those out, it takes care of that it's too loud complaint. If this video has been a value to you, make sure you hit the like and the subscribe if you haven't already, and hit the bell so you'll be notified when I upload new videos, and we'll see you guys next time. God bless.